Hi everyone, this is Killshot from 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 9 time skip. Oh yes, it will be confusing tonight. We got into some good topics last night and we kind of stumbled on to a couple, I think, really solid theories. And I've got a whole lot of notes. We're going to sort this time skip out little by little. I don't know if we'll 100% grasp it, but I think there's some things that are going to make sense, and there's some things that we're just going to think of it like a funnel, that we start with all these solutions and we're gradually eliminating things little by little until we get down to a few possibilities. So before we get started, just want to say thank you to everybody for being here. Just an exciting weekend, a lot of good streams. Before we get too far into it, and this is something I wished I had the time to do every time we do a stream, and a lot of times I do it at the end of the stream. But just be patient, because I know a lot of people come in these streams like, we want to talk about The Walking Dead. But hold on. Let's slow it down just a minute. I want to say thank you to, we got a couple new patrons that have been longtime supporters and longtime in the chats. I know Deborah Cox is brand new in the patron site, and I don't think I say thank you enough to that group of people. Emmy and Steph were two of the first patrons that were out there. They're also moderators. Brene Harp, thank you so much. Diane Estes, Jamie Jordan, Lynn Myers. A lot of people have been in streams for a long time. So I know you guys see it up in the corner, and I do give them a shout out toward the end, but I do just want to say thank you, not just to the supporters, but to the people that have been supporting this channel for years. You guys are absolutely amazing, and just want to start out the stream and just do it the right way. All right, let's get into some of tonight's chat, and I know there's going to be some super chat and some different conversations, a whole lot of other stuff, so we'll get to that in 1 minute. The time skip. We have really, I think we stumbled onto the Maggie thing last night, where it was really all about Rick, but now that we start to think about it a little bit and we hear what some of the actors are saying and what some of the producers are saying and the directors are saying, it makes a little more sense that something happens to Rick. I know you guys don't want to see it. It's either death or capture. Or I'm going to give you a third option, that the time skip happens and Rick is there, but he's not actively involved in what's going on. Incapacitated, involved in another community, looking for other resources. So just because the time skip happens and we don't see Rick doesn't mean that they're not just kind of biding their time, writing him out of the show for a year or so, and then bringing him back in some epic fashion. So that's going to be kind of a third caveat that we're going to talk about a little bit. But I will say this, and I hate to really bring up this topic, but if I had to look at those three options, it feels more and more like a Rick death. I don't want to believe that, because I'm gonna tell you, it's a major mistake if they kill Rick Grimes. Not just because of the fan base and the riot. The more I think about this, and I'm gonna watch the show from start to finish. Many of you are going to watch the show from start to finish. But when you guys think of Rick Grimes, you get one word. I want everybody in chat right now, everybody that's watching, to type a word, the first word that comes to mind when you hear Rick Grimes. And I'm going to give you my word. Boss, resilient, family, leader, loyal, brave. A lot of good stuff here. Nobody's gotten my word yet. Quarterback, the man, Big Daddy, leader. Bay, a rock, rough, leader, attractive. All right. My word's a little bit different. My word's more from an inspirational type of view. Survivor, close. All right, when I think of Rick, hope. I see the way the show started, and I see everything he's been through, and my goal is for him to get to the end. So I don't see hot or attractive or manly, all those things that you guys see. I see hope. And if you kill Rick, I think to a degree, you kill hope. You kill the hope that the person that started all of this can survive it. You can say it's an ensemble. You can say other people's stories are going to be there. But the writers have the opportunity to do this the right way and to keep hope alive, to hide him, to capture him, to do all these things. But if you kill him, you're killing a certain amount of hope. That's just the reality. And I think killing Rick Grimes would be the greatest, most arrogant thing they could ever do on The Walking Dead. So I'm just trying to figure out this time skip, and I spend so much time analyzing, like, what could happen other than killing him. And, you know, last night we asked the question, could he be captured? Captured for 5 years? That's hard for me to understand. Could he leave and be trapped and it be vague for 5 years? No. No way. No way Rick leads a herd of walkers away for 5 years. Could Rick be taken prisoner, maybe by Commonwealth or maybe by something else? Okay, possibility. But of all those possibilities, captured, leading a group away and us not knowing what happened, that's tough. It's tough for me to fathom. So I go back to two options. And option A is he dies. Option B, the time skip happens after his exit was left vague, and it's possible that Rick survived it. And we just don't know what's going on with Rick. So until we see him die, now that means a couple things. That means that Rick leads the walkers away, and we're not sure. And then we time skip, and we see Michonne with an older Judith. We see other people, and they just don't talk about Rick for a few episodes. And I know that's going to be tough, but you're kind of left wondering, because the question's not answered, like, wait a minute. Is he there? Is he out hunting and gathering? Is he looking for something? So let me know your thoughts. And I'm going to read a couple comments. So, Lou, he ain't going to Fear. There is no possibility of him getting to Texas and finding that group. I love you, Lou, but the odds of that are almost as much as him losing a limb. Just, it ain't going to happen. It's a needle in a haystack. So let's kind of table that. Well, Drama King, I like to think that, but the reality is he's not there acting. And they could write him out a few episodes, as long as they don't answer the question. Yeah, I know human nature, you'd think he's got to be there to protect Michonne and Judy, but maybe there's not the fear of anything at that moment. So here's just a vague example. Rick gets on the horse, leads the group away. Oh my gosh, what happened to Rick? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Next episode, everybody's older. Did Rick die? Is Rick fishing? Is Rick out there? And it's just kind of normal. And then you see the threat of the whispers, and you're still wondering, where's Rick? Is Rick going to come back at some point to save the day? And could it be, well, and it'll definitely be an older version of Rick. But that's the type of thing I think they could get away with disguising it for a short period of time. And Rob, I agree. They could find the horse. They could find clues. But that would be the ultimate in cliffhangers. I wouldn't like that either. Cindy, there's a lot of things that might happen to Rick this season that I won't like. Number one, if he dies, I won't like it. Number two, if he goes off and it's very vague, I'm not going to like it. But even Andrew Lincoln leaving the show, I don't like it. So I don't know that there's going to be a perfect fit to any of this the way it's going to go down. So let's table that just for a little bit. And I want to talk about a couple of the other time skip clues. Because when we see this, we don't really understand at what point this is going down. So obviously on the right, we've got Father G. On the left, we've got an older Father G. This is one of the things that really triggered a lot of the spoiler sites to say the second time skip is confirmed. There's other information that is out there. So, with Father G interviewing Magna, then we can get to a point where we realize Magna's group is not a part of the original time skip. So let's think about that for a second. Correct. Picture of him clean shaven, and then he grows his goatee out, and he's grayed out. So that's not a coincidence. So Magna is not going to be there till after the second time skip. Can you guys just send Kyle out of here? It's Kyle, I'm sorry that you're here just to distract people and tell annoying jokes, but that's not what we're here for. So hopefully after about 5 minutes you get it, and if you want to hang out with us, hang out with us. But if you want to kind of type lewd comments, please act like you're older than 10. You should know by now. I mean, come on, man. All right, moving on past Kyle. Back to the Magna situation. So the story is going to focus on different characters and older characters. So by the time we see Magna, by the time we see Yumiko, we see that entire group. Henry's going to be, what, 16, 17? Judith might be 16, 17. So we're not going to have these child actors. We're going to have groups that can function and take care of themselves. So Father G is a dead giveaway. Now, let's talk a little bit about Rick. Enid, 22, right? And some of these characters, they can play it. Some of them they're going to have to replace. So this is Rick at the end of the season. This is Carl's dream. But a lot of Carl's dream and Carl's vision is really starting to pan out. So this is a fairly accurate look for Rick. The one thing in the interviews that is starting to surface, Lauren is a lot more vocal about Maggie having the opportunity to come back, whereas Andrew says he's not done with Rick Grimes. It's my last season playing Rick Grimes, and I've got a lot more. But a lot more could mean a lot more this season. He scares me. Because I've not heard Andrew Lincoln say the door is open for him to come back. I would love to hear that. So I'm going to call just on a couple comments. Yes, Peggy, very confusing. And I will say at this point, I am totally open to a recast of Rick Grimes. Disagree if you want to disagree, but if Andy's done and Andy's ready to hang it up and Rick makes it through the time skip and I can get an old Rick back, I'm fine with an older Rick Grimes played by someone else. I got no issue with that whatsoever. You can disagree. It's fine. It's personal preference. Because I like the character of Rick Grimes. I like the fact that Andrew does a hell of a job playing him. But 5 years, 6 years, 7 years down the road, they want to bring somebody else in, I'm down for that. I have analyzed this, and I just don't want to lose the character that started the show. And there are a lot of people that are opening up to that possibility. When we streamed the recast option about a month ago, I would say 75% of our viewers were like, oh, hell no. No, no, no. Not going to happen. And I will tell you, as people have accepted the fact that Andrew wants to spend some time with family, they've opened up to the possibility of a recast. And look, maybe he was injured in that 5 years. Maybe something happened. Maybe he's immune. Maybe he's fighting a walker bite. I don't know. I don't know what could be happening with Rick, but I'm okay with them hiding him in a cave. Because once again, this time skip to me means Rick provides hope that somebody can make it from start to finish. Rob, you know, that's a good question. I mean, we've talked about several people that could be recast in that option, but, you know, at this point, I'm not so interested in, okay, he looks like Rick, he's got his nose, he's got his hair. I'm not as interested in that as I am the concept of Rick Grimes. So, couple comments. You guys can see some really good comments. So Casey says, someone saying Andrew did an interview recently, said he's not coming back. If not, then why say you're not ready to put the character down and you're done with the character? Very confusing. He has been very vague. I think there's some emotion that's playing into that as well. You know, Kevin says he's not cool with the recast. But, Kevin, here's the thing. How many people are cool with killing off Rick Grimes? Not many. Probably less than half the audience. And I'd be willing to bet that there's a bigger group that would support the entity of Rick Grimes over killing him off altogether. So I don't know that that's going to be a popular decision that the writers are going to be put in. So, you lose or you lose. It's not an enviable situation for the writers to be put in. And I would ask the group, if you were all here, and because this is a time skip issue and how it's going to play out. So, everybody's in chat right now. Hold on one second, because we got a super chat. I'm going to get back to that question in 1 second. 2 super chats back to back. All right, so I'm going to have to address this with a little bit of speed. So, Timothy Lamora says, do you think the Walker whisper that is face-to-face takes place shortly after we see Rick lead the herd away from the white horse? So, Timothy, let me say this. When I first saw that, I really, really wanted it to be a whisper, face-to-face. And I see the features, and I see the cutout, and I see what looks to be a mask. The teeth is an issue. So, if that were the issue with Rick, that would be a small hint that the whispers are around the corner. Or if it's a walker, it could leave his fate very, very vague. I still feel like there's going to be some whisper clues. I feel like there's going to be some Easter eggs out there. But here's the way the season's going to happen. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those episodes, they got to build the story. And that story is going to be moving on, time skip, getting to see the characters, Negan being in jail, Gregory getting hung, the groups can't get along. All of those things get to a boiling point. And then you're going to get to 4 or 5. And then that's where the other dangers are going to start to kick in. And that's going to be Rick and Maggie's last couple episodes. And the way they're portraying it is Rick leaves, Maggie makes the time skip, and then Maggie leaves. So because of those things are going to happen within an episode or two, it stands to reason that either Rick is going to leave right before the time skip, or Rick's going to make it past the time skip. And we've all been writing him off a little bit too soon. The time skip happens and we're introduced to the Whisperers, and then Rick is involved in that one way or another. That is still a possibility. And we're going to touch on that in 1 second. 1189 Paris says, most of the saviors were workers. How do you think the writers of the show are going to make the other communities resent them when it was Negan and his henchmen who infected the harm? So, Paris, here's the thing. It's process of association. And it doesn't mean that everybody resents the saviors. It means to a degree that Maggie and Daryl cannot let go. And they're taking it out unfairly on some of the saviors, which also does not shine a positive light on Maggie's role. So remember we talked a little bit about how this season could be about gray area. It's about scruples. It's about morals and lack of morals. I think that's what you're going to see a little bit more. And let me go back and I'll say it again. I think they did it masterfully in Fear. A lot of people didn't want to see that. And let's be honest. Sometimes we just like, brainless entertainment. We want to see fighting and zombies, and we don't want to think. We just want to enjoy it. Like, that was really cool. Not realistic, but it's really cool. I thought what Fear did is Fear did a great job of getting into the composition and the soul of the character. That Strand is good and bad at the same time. That Alicia is good and bad at the same time. That all these characters just have this conflict. So what I'm seeing that they're starting to do a little bit more, we had right and wrong. We had Rick was almost always right and other groups were almost always wrong. And then we started to see Rick killing what could be perceived as innocent people. So we're starting to see the conflict take place, which is very human. So I don't think the writers have to work too hard to do that, to answer your question. I think it's just human nature. Maggie's pissed at some things, and she's taking it out sometimes on the wrong people. Rick was pissed at some people, and he's overdoing it a little bit. And that's what's causing the struggle and causing, there's going to be some saviors that are right and some that are wrong. There's going to be some Alexandrias that are right and wrong. And it's up to us to decide which part of their characters we want to support. So, got another super chat here, and we've got Jimmy's Jammin'. So he says, it makes no sense to kill him off. Leaving a storyline open makes total sense, especially if they time skip, then a recast is possible. So, Jimmy, I'm going to give the group a third option. And this option takes away from what we thought we saw. And that's the stabbing. And that's the bridge. And that's the possible Rick riding off into the sunset. So here's a third option, and I hope this is the option. I don't want a glorious death. I don't want him to die. We don't need another glorious death. It doesn't work. They thought it was going to work for Carl, and it didn't work. It didn't have that bang. It didn't have that pop. And the writers should learn from that we're not going to go out saying Rick Grimes is the greatest thing ever because he saved the group. That's not what we want as viewers at this point. We want permanence and we want hope. We don't want, good job. You did a good job, but now I never get to see you again. So it's a huge mistake. So option 3 for the group is the stabbing doesn't happen. The riding off on the white horse does not happen. That's just par for the course, and that Rick makes the time skip, and then Rick gets captured after the time skip. I like this much, much better. Because it gets us past the 5-year period, and it leaves the story for the possibility of a Rick coming back in a year or two. So let's not just look at it from all the stuff happens while they're building the bridge. Let him make the time skip, and then let him disappear. And then we're current. We assume that he got to see Judith live for 5 years. We assume that he and Michonne have tied the knot. Spoiler rumor. It is rumored that Rick and Michonne will officially get married this season. Heard that from multiple sources. What are your thoughts on a Rick Michonne tying the knot and making it official? Steph says captured. Steph, I'm down with being captured. So I have heard from multiple sources that there will be that official announcement. Dakota, I have heard there will not be a Rick and Michonne baby. That the baby theme on the show is they're going to weed that out a little bit and do the time skip and grow some people up. All right. I am going to move to this picture, and I still have a question I have to ask all of you. So last night, we talked about the time skip, and the topic of shovel came up. This is not a shovel. This is a makeshift walking stick. Could be used as a weapon. It's not a shovel. Samantha, it's not a shovel. I've got a picture for you right there. There is no shovel. I've watched every frame of this. No shovel on the end. It's a makeshift cane. It is could be a weapon. It is a blunt end. Did not look sharpened on the end as well. So, Alexander, the problem is I don't think it's a weapon. In every scene that I saw, it looks like it's sawed off on the end. Not pointed. If it was pointed, it'd be a little hard to use it as a walking stick. So, based on the shape of this, it looks like a makeshift cane. So, no shovel on the end of it. If that is the case, this would lend a little bit more believability to this is after the time skip. Now, Greg Nicotero said we get a teaser of the whispers in the future. So this could be an older Eugene, a little difficulty walking 5 years later, could be an injury 5 years later. It also opens up the possibility that Eugene and Rosita have embarked on a relationship. And they're being attacked by the Whispers, because this is the Whispers that are walking by. No mistake. Nicotero, Gimple have said we finally get a taste of the Whispers at the end of it. So this is the very end of the trailer. So this goes down. So once again, this adds the time skip element. So we've got Eugene and Rosita. Time skip meets the Whispers. We've got Magna, Father G. Time skip after the Whispers. Now, let me backtrack and go back to the Rick theories that are out there. The rumors from spoiler sites are something happens to the leaders of the group which forces everybody to figure out their differences. So the more we uncover, the more challenges that we have to answer for. So it appears that the group is at a boiling point. They're all fighting. If nothing happens to Rick, Maggie, or Ezekiel, I need you to give me a scenario that puts out the flame, that gets them to stop fighting. Because that's where the Rick death theories and the Rick being captured theories are really coming from. We see Rick at the bridge. We see walkers surrounding the group. We know the group can't get along. Are they just going to time skip it and then they just got along? So there has to be a catalyst, something that happens to make them put aside their differences. Exactly, Lakeisha. Usually some type of tragedy brings people together. And that's what we got to figure out. And it points to Rick because we know Andrew's leaving. And that's what we keep getting back to, is because we know that he's only there for 5 episodes. And we've got to find a way to incorporate him into that story. And it's human nature to do that. And that's what I said, the more clues we uncover, the more questions we're creating. And we got to really funnel this down to get down to a few really good choices. So we got a super chat in the house. It's my boy M&M Tyler. I was a little bit late, but wanted to do a super chat and say what's up to everybody. So what's up, and thank you. And if you come up with a question, a little bit M&M, just ask it, and moderators look out for that so we can kind of address his next question without him super chatting again. But thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Did Jimmy's Jammin' just go like Captain and Tennille, like love will keep them together? But I don't think love's going to keep them together. And Lakeisha, thank you. Lakeisha said earlier I should be writing. I'm waiting on the call. And what I need to do, I'm going to get back to the question I want to ask the group. Because now what I'm going to do, before I do this though, I am going to ask you all, everybody, come on. You guys know the drill. Everybody in the 999 Army, hit the like button. Just slap the like button. All the new people that are here for the first time that want to be a part of what we do every single night, hit that like button. Show everybody that watches the playback that we're serious about building the best Walking Dead live forum anywhere, anyhow, anytime. This is what we do. All right. So now that you'll see the numbers add up, I'm going to ask everybody in this chat one important question. Because people ask me, Kills, what would you do? How would you write it? What would be your story? And I just like trying to figure it out. You got to take your fanboy hats off. I love, this is my favorite thing in the world. Every night we do this, and I ask everybody to slap the like button. One person sends stream always hits the dislike button. It's always like, oh, thanks, Kills. You reminded me to dislike the video that I've been watching for 30 minutes. You're awesome. I don't know why, but people watch the whole stream, and then they get to the middle of it, and then they just do their thing. But that's all right. We got a lot more lovers than we do haters. So the question I have for all of you, and you can't be a fan at this moment. You're a writer. If you were getting paid to write for The Walking Dead, and your job is to keep viewers, and your job is to keep the popularity as high as you possibly can. I mean, shows Sometimes they wane a little bit, and then sometimes they kick back up a little bit. But your job right now is to write in a story. Not to tell me what you want to happen, and as a fan, you're hoping is going to happen. And you're a writer. Do you kill Rick Grimes and cross your fingers and hope you have a job next year? Or do you find a way to leave his story open-ended for the viewers? And I want the people watching the playback. I want the people at AMC. I want the people. So, Ron, you would kill him off. And Joe would kill him off. But I got to tell you guys, there's a huge risk with killing off somebody that is so popular on the show. This is not Shane. This is not Carl. This is Rick Grimes. And I got to tell you, if I'm writing for the show, got to find a way. The only way I would kill him off is if season 9 was the last season. That's the only way. Because I'm going to make a super bold prediction right now. My prediction is, and we will log it in this video, because I've seen the feedback. I've seen life happens. There will be a season 10. And if Rick Grimes is not still technically alive, out of 5 million viewers, 35% of the audience stops watching. Now, let me put that in perspective. You're a writer of the show. So I want everybody to kind of think about your own individual lifestyles. And imagine tomorrow losing 35% of your net worth in a year. Imagine your salary being cut by 35%. Lakeisha, I weighed that number around, and I will tell you, I won't stop watching, and most of the people here won't stop watching. I think 50% is too strong of a number, because if they lost 50%, fear would be getting more fans, and I don't think it's going to be that bold. So think about losing 35% of your revenue. Those of you that are saying, I'd kill Rick, I'd kill Rick, I'd kill Rick, I don't think you're thinking job security. I think you're thinking fan. You're thinking closure. You're thinking what you need. I don't know that you're thinking what the fans need. I think if the writers, now here's bold prediction number 2. Bold prediction number 2 is they find a way to keep Rick alive, they lose 10%. They lose 500,000 people. And they could hope the Whisper story and the Magna story creates enough to sort of keep it there. Now, I'm going to give you scenario number 2. This is the only other caveat to that. Here's the only other way that works. Paris, that's very possible. And Paris says, I think AMC is more interested in the Walking Dead universe, not Rick Grimes. I agree with that. But there's also being naive. And I've asked this question before. It's tough to do it, but I got a great connection with all of you. I remember doing gaming videos with this group. I remember our first couple streams where we were, doing predictions and doing hidden clues, and I've seen the network that we built. And you create that rapport. I'm not saying that somebody else couldn't jump in and do my job, because they probably can. But they're not going to do it and have the connection with each of you that I have. So it's different. And if I took a year off and someone else jumped on here and started talking to you guys, I would probably lose half my viewers. That's why I'm not going to do that. But the writers can't be naive and think that you can just have this Walking Dead universe and there's not people that aren't going to go away. And they may want it, and they may think, and that's why I said before we kind of got into this chat, I think killing Rick Grimes would be the most arrogant, risky thing they could ever do on Walking Dead. Because you're gambling, and if you're going to gamble with billions of dollars, that franchise is over the next few years is worth billions of dollars. You lose 35% of a billion-dollar industry. That's amazing money. When all you have to do is give us, I would accept a little bit of a corny storyline at this point. Yeah, if it's just corny enough to keep him alive. Maybe, look, the Walker universe is unbelievable anyway. I mean, we make realism out of something that is unreal. So I'm okay with a Walker tornado on Fear. I'm okay with Rick making the time skip and getting captured and they don't kill him. In fact, I need that. That's what I need. So there's obligation in watching. There's mediocre enjoyment. And then there's just getting Walking Dead crazy and like, yes! If you take Rick off the show, I don't know that I'm ever going to get Walking Dead crazy, oh yes mode again. Does that make sense? I'm trying to articulate it the right way. I'm never going, peace out, I hate the show, I won't watch it. But I watched Fear in seasons 2 and 3, and I didn't like it. I don't want to watch Walking Dead and get everybody together and say, hey guys, it's Sunday, and Whisperer's going to chop a few more heads off, and this is going to be fun. Let's see who they're going to kill today. Oh, good job, Daryl killed a few of them. No, Rick represents hope, which is why we need Rick to make it past the time skip. Then we need Rick to possibly get captured. Then Andrew can go do whatever he does for a couple years. The only other way that they possibly get through it by killing Rick is it plays out like this. You kill Rick before the time skip. You know that you're going to lose viewers the second half of the season. And I guarantee you, if you kill Rick in 5, people watch 6, they watch up to 8, and then they get to the second half of the season, and I can tell you, they are going to be lighting up my comment section and say, I quit watching Walking Dead. Why are you still talking about it? I quit watching Walking Dead. And a couple million viewers are not going to watch the second half of the season. So then the only way that you will get them back temporarily is to announce season 10 is the last season of The Walking Dead. And then people will watch just because it's the last season. They want to see the way the story ends. But that's it. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to keep it as hyped up in 10, 11, and 12. I'd love to see them get to 12. So that's kind of my take on the time skip. Now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to touch on another topic. Before we get to that, we got LH Star with a super chat and says, and how many episodes will the Rick carrot be left to dangle before that gets annoying and makes rating go down if Rick's story is left open? It depends on a couple things, LH. It depends on, I think, how interesting the story is. And there's a big difference between a Rick carrot and a Heath carrot or a Morales carrot. I mean, that's the hope that I talked about. So I think they could get by a season. And in getting by a season, there would have to be some Easter eggs. There would have to be some hints that Rick's still alive. Because I think that if I were writing it, I would write it exactly that way. I'll kind of play it out in my mind, the way it needs to happen in order to hold on. Because you can't plan for people in real life. If a person dies in real life, you can't plan for that. They got to write whatever story that they can improvise. A person decides they're not going to renew their contract. You're handcuffed. You can't plan for that. A person decides they want to spend time with their family. You got to make the story go on. And this is why I don't think it's the recast is not very popular, but for me, and me knowing if I'm the showrunner that I'm going to make a fortune off of Walking Dead for the next 2 or 3 years, and I want the story to be entertaining, I'm not going to kill Rick in a corny fashion, having him save the group. It's been done over and over and over again. It's repetitive. The helicopter adds an interesting dynamic. Could Rick be taken via helicopter? Maybe even taken after a time skip? Yes. But the better story for me, some catalyst happens to get the group back on the same page. Maybe a whisper or hint. Then Rick gets confronted by Alpha after the time skip, or Rick gets confronted by Beta, captured, break his back. Maybe Beta snaps him and Rick can't move. And he's left as a prisoner or left to heal, or he's taken captive. If that happens after the time skip, and we don't know where he's at, what he's doing, and they could play another year into it, I would drag it on as long as I could. And I would constantly be begging Andrew Lincoln, like, hey, dude, let me say this because I haven't touched on this too much. I'm not happy that Andrew Lincoln wants to leave the show. I'm not happy for him, and I'm going to tell you why I'm not happy for him. It's his right, and you guys can say, Killshot's really none of your business. You'll be right by saying that, but I have to give you my personal opinion. And I'm going to get to that in 1 second, because I have to address the super chat. Country Girl, I think there's zero possibility of that happening. Only because, as I said before, there's the possibility that Morgan leads the group back to Washington. There's no possibility that Rick takes a helicopter or takes a car and finds Morgan in the middle of Texas. It's just There's no way he can do it. And I appreciate that super chat question. I don't see any possibility. I think that would be way, way too coincidental. The tornado that's carrying the walkers takes place in Virginia and carries Rick in his house and drops him in Texas. It ain't going to happen. I'm being facetious. But there's no way they can have that go over. And that still defeats the purpose, because Country Girl, if Rick is leaving because of family and he doesn't want to film in Atlanta, he's not going to want to film in Texas. So here is my honest opinion on Andrew Lincoln. And I love him as an actor. And once again, don't hate me for saying this. You definitely can have your own viewpoints. He's not away from his family 12 months out of a year. I would imagine they are filming from the end of April, mid-April, so May, June, July, August, 4.5 months. So this kind of bothers me a little bit, that as the lead of the show and as the leading man of our favorite show, it bothers me that you can't give me 4.5 months out of a year. You can fly back on the weekend. Andy, it's 5 days a week, 4.5 months out of a year. I know you want to see your family grow up. I mean, you're home for Christmas, man. You can spend time with them. You're missing a little bit of their summer break. So that's my feeling. And like I said, you don't have to agree with that. It's just something, as we write this story out and we analyze it and we go through it and all the things that can happen to Rick and what the writers have to do, I just want you to suck it up for 2 more years, man. Just give me 2 more summers. That's all I'm asking. Get me through season 10, season 11. That's all. Just, like I said, AMC, you can watch it. Andy, I hope you watch it. Whoever, all the fans out there. You've done it for 10 years. I understand you want to spend time with family. Just 2 more years, man. Now, with that being said, there you go, Viola. Give him a year off and come back. So Westwood says that pick is episode 6, Maggie 5 years later. That's not her baby. I am not sure about that. I would say that is her baby. I would say that's baby Herschel. And I think 5 years later, she's going to take a 6-year-old baby Herschel and she's going to hit the road. And we're going to talk about that in 1 second. So, thank you for that insight, Westwood, but I'm going to say it's after the first time skip. I think that's going to be episode 1, in my opinion. We got another super chat, 1189. Paris says, maybe they should have offered a percentage of ownership of the show. Whew. I don't know. Paris, I don't know if it's a money question. Let me throw this question out to the group. Do you think there is an amount of money that would have made Andy change his mind? You think if they would have doubled his salary? let's use what we know about Andy. All right. So I'm going to ask a follow-up question. You don't have to answer this. How many of you have kids? You can answer if you want. You don't have to. I'm not trying to get all in your business and stalk you. Only answer this question if you feel comfortable. All right. So how much would any of you take for your kids? And the people that said cash is king, if you have kids, how much money would you take for your kids? $5 million. So Kimmy says $3. That's great. All right. But the honest answer is your family's not for sale. So if Andy truly is saying it's about his family, and if he's being forthright, doubling his salary isn't going to change his mind. If he feels like there's something coming down that he needs to be there for the next couple years, then he's going to do it. He doesn't need money. Sorry, I like to ask real questions, put you guys on the spot. So, as I said before, there's that part of me that wants that commitment. It's like, Andy, come on, it's 4.5 months. Just film, man. Let your family deal with it. Bring them out there. Put them in private school. Whatever you need to do. Find a way to make it work. You are that important to the show. And if it was 12 months, I get it. But so I'm kind of torn between, I understand he wants to be with his family and I respect that, but then I'm torn that I want him to make that commitment for a couple more years. So rest assured, if there's any way that the writers could and should offer him $1 million an episode, they will do it. And if they can leave it open and in 2 years bring him back for $1 million an episode, and maybe it's only for 4 or 5 episodes, I think that's going to happen. So the last thing I'm going to touch on is we've talked about Rick, and at this point, hey, believe it or not, if you guys go back, listen to the playback, we've hit on almost every topic that we wanted to hit. And we are starting to get that funnel to get some real solutions. So at this point, it makes more sense, if you're going to bring Rick back, to have him live past the time skip. Now, in tomorrow night's broadcast, I'm going to ask you to take it a step further, because I really need some events that go down that take the bullseye off of Rick dying. You're going to have to give me some valuable information here so we can write off the Rick death theory and write in the fact that Rick makes it one more episode. All he's got to do is get from 5 to 6. If he can get through 5 and live through the time skip and he gets captured, then it opens up the possibility that the whole Whisperer story arc might take place in less than a year. So maybe they're filming for a year, but they do all these time skips and 6 or 7 years have passed. We may only have 2 months pass in a whole year's worth of filming. So that definitely opens up the fact he could be captured. So the last part that we're going to talk about really quickly is the time skip and the Whisperer threat. And if Lauren is definitely being honest that she opens up the possibility for Maggie coming back, I see her taking the Michonne role from the comics. And Michonne was unhappy that Rick did not kill Negan. Maggie is unhappy that Rick did not kill Negan. Maggie could leave because of that, or Maggie could see the threat of the Whispers after the time skip and leave with baby Herschel and take care of her family. And I think if I had to bet on one prediction, that's the prediction that I would put money on. More so than the Rick theories we have out there. Maggie leaves, takes Herschel, probably takes Gracie as well. We're not sure. She could leave Gracie with Aaron. But I think it's more likely that Maggie and Herschel leave, maybe take the boat, and we may see them in the future in a couple years. And that, everybody, is where we're going to leave this. We got 1 hour's worth of streaming in. Time flies. You guys are absolutely amazing. Appreciate the conversation. Last night was really about the Whispers. Tonight's about the time skip. Join us tomorrow night at 9:30. We'll have a brand new topic. We're going to touch on some of these other topics, but we really are going to continue to talk about this, drill down as much as we can, not just from what we see, but what makes sense and the real life things that are going on as well. So I want to thank everybody for being here. If you're still here, you're watching the playback, whatever the case may be, this is the closing credits. So give me a quick 999. I want to do as many shouts as we possibly can. As we start this video, I want to give a sincere thank you to all the patrons who support this channel. Also, all the sponsors. You can see they're typing green and have a lot of custom emojis. If you're interested in supporting the 99 Gaming channel, 99 Army, there's a link down below. We can get your name up in the videos, give you a couple shout outs. If you're at a Walker, Stalker, or Comic-Con, you want to rock some gear, there's a link down below as well. If you just want to hang out on our fan page, The Walking Dead 99 Army, go over to that link and join that. We'll post whether streams are happening that night or if the stream's been canceled, so a little bit of additional information. And always mark your calendar. If you're a subscriber, hit the like button. Join us every night at 9:30, except on Sundays when we do it a little bit earlier at 9 o'clock. So let me get through as many shout-outs as possibly can. We'll say what's up to Alexander Santos, Carl, Rosanna Jude, DJ Domstott, Andrew Narcisco, Dakota Page, Nicholas Scott, Jimmy's Jammin', Sylvia Castro, Miranda Lemon, Viola McGowan, Walker Tobin McLeod, what's up? Ollie, good to see you. Cats 1964, Samantha Coombs, Ron Burgundy Moore, Jessica M, Batman, Fluff Salisbury, what's up? Lakeisha, thank you so much, Lakeisha. Appreciate that. Northside Queen, my moderators, Emmy, Steph, Tommy, Kells, amazing job as always. Lisa Khaleesi, thank you for being here. Connie Guzman, Walani, Cindy P, Peggy Sullivan, Maria Favada, Home Flaherty, Psycho Rooster, thank you so much. You have a good night too. Thank you, Miranda. Love talking about your favorite show, and we love you being here talking about your favorite show. Eminem, thank you for being here. Thank you for that super chat. Howling Wolf, Mask and Music, thank you. Rob Morris, Shane Yutzi, Dawn of the Frank, Football Stuff, thank you for being here. Sergeant Chosen One, always a pleasure. Thank you for being here. BK, Gina Crockett, Bumblebee, B Squared Brown, Tybeth, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, Kimmy. Rubelo's Channel, Julie McGuire, DDA Ohio, Paul Rice, thanks, Cindy D, Julia Drums, Justin Barrett, have a good night, Sonia Davidson, Gee74, Garrett Farmer, and once again, thanks to all of you for being a part of the most active, the most interactive, the best live forum to get together and talk about The Walking Dead. And also, I know some of you are fans of Fear the Walking Dead, some aren't. If you haven't given Fear a shot for Season 4, go back and watch it, because as good as these streams are, our Fear reactions and recaps are just as good as these, and we'll break the show down as well. We are firmly a part of the Walking Dead universe. I mean, we love video games, Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, anything that has to do with it. We want to get together and talk about it. So thank you so much. Appreciate everybody being here. Cynthia Smith as well. Who else we got? Kimmy B, Viola McGowan, Newfield 12, Christy Wells, Reese, thank you for being here. You have a great night as well. And if I missed you for some reason in the shout out, just leave it in the comments below, and we will try to catch you in the next stream. Thanks, everybody. Peace.